Hello everyone, in this video I'm just gonna explain the additional tool which I have added to my first Agentic AI, which is the most popular one which everybody wants to have a connection through the Agentic AI, which is making a connection to the relational database. And I choose the PostgreSQL database. So to just showcase how I have just included or integrated the PostgreSQL database and how this agentic AI will take, the task where multiple action needs to be taken by this tool, and it will first understand the task and try to decide whether it has to make the connection to the database or not. So the very first thing which we have to do is to just set up our database. So let me just quickly run that with Docker. So I am going to run this. So this is a very straightforward command, Docker run, detached mode. I'm running a PostgreSQL, setting a some Postgres environmental variable like user, password, and the DB. And then this is the Docker image which I'm using, which is the latest one, right? So this is where our DB is running. So let's quickly go to the DB, get inside the database. This is what my user is, and this is what my database is. And the thing which I need here is I need to create a bunch of table, right? And I'm going to explain. So what I'm going to do here is see, okay. So here, if you just see this structure, let me quickly copy this and paste here. If I run this, so we can quickly see we are creating three tables: customer, products, and order. Then we are inserting some records into the customer and into the product and into the order table. So we can see bunch of records we have in all those tables. Now, as I have integrated the database tool to this agentic AI, so let's quickly run the application since it's a gradient-based application. So it will take a little bit of time because we have a lot of embedded models, we have, which is going to take a little bit of time to load. So that's the reason it is taking a little bit of time. We can just come here and okay, so I can click on this. So now this is what our application is. Here I have in the previous video, if you haven't watched, you can just see where we have all those simple tools integrated along with the web API search. But now we are going to see whether this agentic AI can figure it out whether it has to make a DB connection or not. So if you see, this is the question, how many customer do we have, right? So if I just go here and if I just try to select down the star, customers. If I run this, then we have three entries, right? Let's quickly run this. Okay, so in the meantime, let me just quickly walk you through the code which I have done to just incorporate this database tool, right? So these are the two dependencies like PSYCopg, which is the library which actually allows Python code to make the connection, which is PSYCopg to binary. You can search for that. You can just find the GitLab repo where you can find this. This is the dependency which you need to install. And if I just come here, right? So the important part here is the tool section. If you just see, this is the part which you have to add. So basically what we are saying here is this is a new tool which is execute SQL, and this is just a function name. It's not a open and close parenthesis, just a function name. If I just copy and paste this, and this is where this is the function definition which we have here, right? So what it is doing, it is just trying to make the connection to the DB. It is doing a some validation, like, it is not having a more than one query. Then it should only allow the select statement because we don't want to play with, insert and update, which is, and delete, which is very risky when we are doing agentic AI until or unless we have a proper barrier to do so, right? And then we are just executing this query, right? So this is just to execute SQL, but another thing which we have to make changes in our brain, which is our think function, where I have changed the prompt, and this is how the prompt looks like. And here, if you just see, we are just providing all the information related to the tables which we have, but all these kind of thing can be automated. But since it's just a very first implementation I have done, where I am just relying on agentic AI to decide whether the database connection needs to be made or not, so that's the reason I have just created this prompt. But we can make it more generic so that we don't have to worry about providing all these table structure and everything, and it can be extracted on the runtime as well. But right now, just for the sake of understanding, this is how the prompt looks like. right? And this is the section where we have just given a database related stuff, and this is the task history, and we are just saying what all tools are available here, and then this is how it is going to make the prompt for the task depending upon how many individual activity as task is expected to have, right? So if we just go to the application back, right? So now we can see so how many customer do we have? We haven't said like, I mean, what do we want, right? So what's going to happen is first, it will just make the connection to the large language model. In our case, we are using a Gemini 2.5 Pro, and then it figured out, okay, it has to go to the database and make the connection. And for that, it needs to execute the tool. And now you can see this is the query it created for us. And then it gave us this, right? The next thing is what we can do along with that. Probably we can just quickly check what kind of products we have, and then we can just quickly. Okay, so let's quickly select start products. We have product A. So we can just query what is the price of product A. And then we can say, could you please save the result into right? So what we are doing is here we are just requesting, okay, what is the price of product A? Could you please save the result into the product A underscore price.txt. So this is our task. Now let's see what this agentic API actually does. So now we are having two activities to be performed. First, it will have to make the connection to the database, get the price of a product A, and then it has to save that information to the product A price on the local file system. So now everything is happening through this agentic AI API. So though it looks a very simple thing, but if you just want to utilize this for your most complicated thing which you want to achieve, right? So this is really powerful, the tool you are getting, right? So if you have a large language model, then you can build this logic to make this autonomous agentic AI where you don't have to worry about anything, all the thinking, all the action, and all the observation which is happening by the agentic AI itself. So first it is thinking to decide how this entire task has to be split into the small activities, and then it act on that and then save the result into the memory, and then again observe whether the task is completed or not. And then again it goes back to the next task and just take the history as well for the previous activity result and see whether the final result can be concluded or not. Right, so that is where if I just show you, so this is our execute as tool. I think I have already explained in my previous video, and this is the new function which we have to written. So it's very generic. If we want to include a new tool, all we need to do is to add the entry here, right? And then accordingly we can just make that function and we can just add whatever we want, and we have to make the adjustment in our prompt. So basically what we need to do, add a new tool, add a new function, and change the prompt accordingly so that large language model can decide, I mean, which tool to execute, right? And the rest of the logic is generate. So these are the three places which we need to make the changes to extend the intelligence of this application or the autonomous feature of this agentic application, right? So let's quickly come here. Why this is happening? Let's quickly come here. So basically, if you just see, it is trying to make the connection to the database and query looks good, right? It's also extracted the price as well, which is 19.999. Let's quickly come down here and you can see for the product A, the price is 19.999, right? That's good. Now, the only thing is, we are making, this information available here, which should not be the case because in real time, we cannot expose that information. But there are many ways through which we can achieve that. And the first best way is the MCP. And that is what the next thing which I'm going to do so that, the large language model will never know what kind of structure, table objects, or any other database object we have on the database side. It is always going to. So this is really something where your imagination, your innovation, creativity comes into the picture. Like along with adding a more intelligence, you have to make sure your application is secure as well. right? So it seems like the task is completed. Let's come back to our application and then we can quickly see. So first it's thinking, okay, it's trying to figure it out which tool to be executed, and then it figured it out. It has to execute the SQL, and then it has to create the query. And now it is creating a query based on the question what you are saying. So our task is to not only extract the price of a product, but you have to save the result into the file as well, right? And then it is trying to execute that function, that query, and then it just, executed this and get the price, which is 90.9. Then the next thing, and then again it goes back to a task and see what is the next activity it has to perform. It has to write to file. So it find out the tool and just create the file name. So it extracted not only the file name from this question, from this activity, this small activity, but it also ensured that it has to remember the response of a previous activity and put it here, right? And then again it's thinking and final result, the price of the product is this, and I have saved this. Okay, so now we can quickly come back here and see whether the product price underscore tax is 19.1. If you want to take further action based on the file created, you can always do that. So it's now, as I mentioned, it's completely your imagination or the problem you want to solve. You can use this agentic AI. And if anybody is saying agentic AI is something which is going to be a future, so they are rightly saying, they are right about that. Because if you just see, this looks very simple, but if you just think how powerful this is, all you need to do is whatever the task you want agentic AI to accomplish, you have to just get into the plain language, plain text, and it is going to do the magic behind the scene, and it is going to observe the result. And based on that, it's keep taking an action until or unless your task is completely done. Right? So that's it from my side for this particular video, and I will just try to come up with a video where I will be implementing an MCP so that the interaction of a large language model with the external tool can be isolated, and that is where the MCP actually comes into the picture. So I will just try to implement that in the next video, and I will just explain how you can, implement the MCP as well along with your agentic AI. So that's it from my side for this video. If you have any feedback and suggestion, please feel free to put that in the comment section, and I would love to incorporate that in my future video. And if you really like this video, don't forget to subscribe for my channel, give a thumbs up, and don't, if you really like this video and you feel that, okay, whatever the next video I'm going to publish, you should be notified. So just hit the bell icon as well so that you can just get the notified whenever my next video is available. And as always, thanks for watching this. Stay healthy and keep learning new things.